Luxury beauty is dying. What if I told you that the endless choices you see in the beauty aisle is all an illusion? And the fierce competition between that luxury brand and the drugstore version isn't real? Because it turns out there are no hundreds of brands to choose from. The entire industry is controlled by a handful of giants. Okay, take a $63 Lancome foundation and a $13 L'Oreal foundation. They're both made by L'Oreal. L'Oreal doesn't just own Lancome. In many ways, it is Lancome. Same parent company, same research and development labs, sometimes even the same factory. So what are you actually paying for? For decades, the answer was simple. You weren't just buying makeup, you were buying a dream. The little black box from Chanel, the signature click of a Dior lipstick, that was your armor of aspiration, a signal to the world that you'd made it. But that dream is crumbling. Brands that once defined aspiration are now collecting dust and being replaced by a drugstore product, or in a move that cuts even deeper, a dupe. So what happened? How did a beauty empire built on status and exclusivity get torn down by TikTok and a wave of copycats? In this video, we're breaking down how luxury beauty lost its grip and how once illegal dupes became the ultimate status symbol. Chapter 1, the golden age of aspiration. Before Sephora, YouTube unboxings, and get ready with me's, shopping for luxury beauty was an event. It meant stepping up to a counter and speaking with a perfectly polished woman in a crisp uniform, your beauty advisor. She wasn't just selling products, she was curating your entire look, matching lipstick to your skin tone and choosing foundation based on the store's lighting. The experience was personal. For many, it was a rite of passage. A cream from Lancome or a compact from Estee Lauder wasn't just skincare, it was a status symbol locked away in heavy glass jars and chic cases. Even the department store bag was part of the signal, especially that iconic big brown bag from Bloomingdale's. This wasn't loud branding, it was luxe, an indulgence, accessible only to those who could afford both the price tag and the exclusive world that came with it. But behind the glamour, the cracks began to show. As the packaging got shinier and the price tag steeper, consumers got more informed. They started reading labels, questioning ingredients, and asking the one question luxury brands feared. Is this $95 cream actually better or just better packaged? The first real crack in luxury's armor appeared in the early 2010s. This was the golden age of the YouTube beauty guru, the ones who truly pulled back the curtain for the very first time. Raw conversations about beauty used to happen quietly, between friends, behind the beauty counter, or even over the phone. But suddenly, those private chats went public. Instead of being told what to buy by a department store beauty advisor, people were logging onto YouTube and watching creators like Michelle Phan or Jackie Aina review products in real time. You saw the swatches, you saw the reactions, and more importantly, you saw the truth. But while these creators were focused more on the look and the feel, a more powerful wave was happening, one that focused on the science. This was the era of the skintellectual and the clean beauty movement. Consumers weren't just looking at swatches, they were reading ingredient lists, questioning fillers, and calling out synthetic fragrances. Beauty consumers were now armed with skepticism about performance and ingredients. They were primed for a revolution. All they needed was a champion. And in 2016, one brand arrived and turned the entire industry upside down with a single $7 bottle. Chapter 2, the era of ingredients and influence. That brand was The Ordinary. And in 2016, it didn't just enter the market, it detonated it. With clinical names and minimalist dropper bottles, The Ordinary didn't sell a fantasy. It sold the raw ingredients. But The Ordinary didn't come from nowhere. It was the brainchild of a company called Decium, which called itself the Abnormal Beauty Company. Its founder, Brandon, was a visionary who believed that beauty should be about integrity and transparency. His mission was to bring high-quality, scientifically backed formulations to the public without the insane luxury markup. It was a direct challenge to the entire luxury system. It exposed the industry's insane markup and proved a powerful serum didn't need to cost more than a cup of coffee. The Ordinary didn't create this movement out of thin air. It was simply the perfect weapon for a revolution that had already started. The YouTube gurus had already taught millions that raw and filtered reviews were more trustworthy than a brand's promises, and the skintellectuals on blogs and Reddit, they had already created a hunger for ingredient knowledge. And then there's The Ordinary. It gave both groups course, the ultimate ammunition. Suddenly, the conversation exploded. Ingredient lists became screenshots. Terms like hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, and retinol went from the lab to mainstream. The power wasn't at the beauty counter anymore. It was in the comment section of a skincare addiction thread. The Ordinary gave consumers the vocabulary and the confidence to question everything. Beauty was no longer just about looking good. It was about understanding exactly what you were putting on your skin and why. Chapter 3. The revolution goes viral. On TikTok, brand loyalty took a backseat to receipts. The algorithm didn't reward prestige, it rewarded proof. And nothing delivered that proof like a side-by-side comparison. Introducing a $45 cult favorite meeting its $10 twin. The dupe wasn't a widespread secret, it was the entire show. Some dupes were so convincing, they didn't just go viral, they went mainstream. Let's take Charlotte Tilbury's Flawless Filter. It met its match with e.l.f.'s Halo Glow, making millions ask why they were paying 4 times more for the same glow. And Dior's coveted lip oil replaced by a trip to CVS. And let's talk about the biggest culprit of them all, La Mer's $200 cream, exposed by a humble tin of Nivea with the same core ingredients. Finding a dupe was a thrill, but it did something far more important. It planted a seed of doubt. Consumers started asking, if I can get the same glowy finish for a quarter of the price, what am I actually paying for? The packaging? The celebrity's face on the ad? According to Business of Fashion, 63% of consumers do not consider premium brands to be higher performing than drugstore brands. This skepticism quickly went from the surface level, the look, down to the molecular level, the ingredients. And suddenly, finding a dupe wasn't just about being cheap, it was about being smart enough not to get ripped off. And that's when a new hero entered the chat, the online dermatologist. Now, to be clear, the idea of a derm brand wasn't new. Pioneers like Dr. Howard Murad and Dr. Dennis Gross had paved the way for decades, bringing clinical-grade products to retail shelves. But the social media era took this to a whole new level. The shift became extreme when virality met authority, and no one weaponized this new power better than Dr. Shireen Idris. She built a massive following on a foundation of humor, transparency, and scientific receipts. This revealed a fatal flaw in the old luxury model. The new status symbol wasn't the heavy glass jar you bought, it was the knowledge you had. It was being the person who knew you didn't need to have to spend a fortune to get great results. And that while some luxury products are truly exceptional, for the vast majority, the price tag was just a matter of better marketing. Which brings us to Chapter 4, De-Influencing and Economic Realities. Just as consumers started trusting ingredients over marketing, a new trend took hold, born from a simple, powerful idea: honesty. Welcome to the era of de-influencing. It was another rebellion against the marketing machine. Instead of "you need this," the new message was "here's why you don't." People weren't just reviewing products, they were calling out the scams, the empty promises, and the concealers that turned moldy in a month. But this wasn't just online drama, it was a direct reflection of economic realities. With inflation soaring, a $70 foundation no longer felt like a luxury, it felt tone deaf. The dupe went from being a fun find to a core budget strategy. Overconsumption felt out of touch, and in a world where everything was more expensive, less started to feel like more. And just when consumers thought they had all the power, TikTok pulled back the final curtain to reveal the biggest secret of it all. The power is no longer with the brand on a billboard. It's with the TikToker in their bedroom, the chemist on YouTube, and the ingredient list in your hand. Luxury is no longer about the price tag. The new luxury is information. So what do you guys think? Is luxury beauty over? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.